Welcome to the Nation of History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. In 1978, the then First Lady of the United States, Rosalind Carter, was photographed next to John Wayne Gacy, who was at that time a well-regarded member of the community and active in political events. A disturbing-looking clown stares at the camera, creating a sense of discomfort. President John F. Kennedy drives through the streets of Houston, Texas, in his official motorcade on November 21, 1963, one day before the tragic event. Russian soldiers wear unsettling costumes during a break in the fighting of World War I. A young girl demonstrates the effects of pollution, showing the serious consequences of exposure to toxic chemicals in 1986. A prison cell used during the Salem witch trials in the late 1600s. Warsaw insurgents defend a barricade on Jelazna Street during the Warsaw Uprising of 1944. German soldiers equipped mules with gas masks during World War I to protect them from chemical attacks. Two soldiers from the 363rd Field Artillery Battalion rest near Okinawa on June 10, 1945, during the last major battle in the Pacific of World War II. A father and his son, both serving in the same German regiment, read a letter from the wife and mother while at the front lines in 1915 during World War I. Women take part in protests rejecting bras as a symbol of resistance to societal standards. The movement gained momentum in 1969 during the second wave of feminism. A fan spontaneously showed support for Władysław Gomułka, the communist leader of Poland, during an event in the 1960s. Gomułka started his government with promises of reform, but ultimately imposed a tougher regime. Schoolchildren wore gas masks in England in 1939 during World War II. The British government distributed millions of these masks to protect the population from possible gas attacks. Women work in a munitions factory in the United Kingdom in 1942 during World War II. Actress Tippi Hedren poses with her pet tiger in 1982, showcasing her love for big felines. A farmer walks against the strong wind in the middle of a dust storm, fighting to withstand the tough conditions of the Dust Bowl in 1936. The Serra Pelada gold mine in Brazil attracted thousands of prospectors in search of riches. Men worked under harsh conditions, climbing unstable dirt walls and carrying sacks of ore on their shoulders. Italian actress Sophia Loren used the stunt double gable for difficult scenes during her filming. Renowned worldwide for her beauty and talent, Loren starred in major film productions. Sophia Loren draws attention at the Cannes Film Festival in 1955, emerging as one of the rising stars of Italian cinema. Claudia Cardinale, one of the most iconic actresses of the 1960s, is photographed reading books. Alfred Hitchcock appears serving tea to a lion in an iconic image that reflects his peculiar sense of humor and dramatization. A female firefighter team patrols the streets of London in 1932, riding a motorcycle adapted for firefighting. Max Schreck rests backstage during Nosferatu in 1922 after playing the iconic vampire Count Orlok. A boy gazes in wonder at a television screen for the first time, capturing a moment of discovery and fascination. Mahatma Gandhi walks through the streets of London during his participation in the Second Round Table Conference, which took place in 1931. The gathering brought together British and Indian leaders to discuss the political future of India under British rule. The space dogs Belka and Strelka successfully returned to Earth after a historic mission on the Soviet spacecraft Sputnik 5 in 1960. A child's reaction to meeting Andre the Giant in the 1970s. At a towering height of 7 feet 4 inches, the French wrestler and actor was a legendary figure in professional wrestling. A group of children watches ice blocks with fascination, having their first experience with this novelty. Women from the Padang ethnicity, known for their long neck rings, were photographed asking a police officer for directions in London. A woman with an elongated skull in Central Africa in 1955. A Victorian couple in their home at the close of the 19th century, knitting together. A 19th century family capturing a typical moment from the Victorian age. Archaeologists uncovered a 25,000-year-old stone engraving depicting a woman in France. Queen Victoria, known as the Grandmother of Europe, is seen in 1894 surrounded by members of royal families from different countries. Photographer Margaret Bourke-White is captured in an iconic shot while posing on an eagle-shaped gargoyle at the top of the Chrysler Building around 1930. One of the earliest gym machines, designed by Dr. Gustav Zander, is exhibited in Stockholm, 1892. Paul Anderson used improvised weights during his training, building incredible strength that earned him a gold medal at the 1956 Olympic Games. Robert Cornelius took the first self-portrait in the world in Philadelphia, United States. The image was captured in 1839 using the daguerreotype process, one of the earliest photographic techniques. Alexander Graham Bell created the telephone as a breakthrough in communication, changing how people interact over distances. In 1876, he filed the patent for the device. Henry Ford poses with the Ford quadricycle, the first car he constructed in 1896. Workers operate on the Ford assembly line, transforming industrial production in 1903. A group of aviation pioneers inspects an experimental plane in the early 1900s during the early years of flight. A man holds a huge punt gun in the 1920s, highlighting the massive size of this firearm. Acrobats perform impressive stunts during a performance in Chicago, showcasing strength, balance, and coordination in 1955. A three-wheeled futuristic car was unveiled in 1948 as an innovative concept for mobility. Eric demonstrates a mass shaving machine in the 1960s, built to shave multiple men at once. In WWII, a curious experiment merged a bicycle with a glider, resulting in an unconventional aviation design. In 1963, navigation heavily relied on printed maps, telephones, and the help of others to find directions. Giant puppets flowed over the streets of New York during the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, which took place between 1929 and 1960. Hop harvest workers walk on stilts in Faversham, England in 1920. Children dressed in straw cloaks walk toward a New Year event in Niigata, Japan in 1956. A group of people dressed in Halloween costumes in the 1930s. The USS Los Angeles dirigible lands on the USS Saratoga aircraft carrier in January 1928, proving the feasibility of operating lighter-than-air aircraft on warships. Race cars gather at the North Turn during the Daytona race in 1954. President John F. Kennedy watches his daughter Caroline wearing a mask with his own face during a casual moment in 1962. Mott Street in Chinatown is blanketed with snow after a heavy snowstorm. In Paris, a car was equipped with a shovel at the front as an innovative attempt to increase pedestrian safety. The device was intended to push people to a safe location in the event of a collision. A group of pioneers poses with a large advertisement in Montana, USA in 1901. A Red Army soldier stands guard in the Soviet Union in 1925, symbolizing the militarization and surveillance of the post-revolution era. A construction worker waves at a colleague while working on the 88th floor of the Empire State Building in 1930. Before a judge suspended his sentence, Nick Nolte, aged 20 at the time, was sentenced in 1961 for selling counterfeit military enlistment cards. The original sentence was 45 years. A moment from the famous Running of the Bulls event in Pamplona, Spain, where participants attempt to outrun wild bulls in the city's streets. The image offers a glimpse inside the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, 1959. A photo of Las Vegas, Nevada in 1947. The image shows the Jack Frost Barbershop in Adair County, Missouri in 1905. A housewife and her daughter in an Ontario, Canada kitchen in 1920 with an antique washing machine. The machine, with its mechanical design, reflects the technology available at the time to help with domestic tasks. An ancient coin from Athens featuring the Owl of Athena, a symbol linked to wisdom and the goddess Athena. The arcade in Santa Monica in 1887 was one of the first commercial attractions in the city, marking the expansion and development of the area during the late 19th century. In 1965, Barry Manilow, the renowned singer and songwriter, worked as a CBS employee in the archive room before becoming a global sensation. A police officer tests a riot gear suit in the 1950s, a time when authorities began more systematically preparing to manage riots and protests. A moment of rest for these civilians and members of the French resistance during the liberation of France in Normandy. The image shows the dome of the United States Capitol being built in 1857. Acrobats perform on top of a tank to entertain Soviet troops in April 1945, during the final days of World War II. Canadian soldiers celebrate on top of a Mark IV tank after the successful Battle of Amiens in August 1918. The image shows a young woman in Bali in 1934, learning about photography and film as she operates a movie camera.